Generations come and go, we see all kinds of new things and things that change. But I'm still the same old Arrow, and I'm happy that way. Generation 9 of Pokemon has come to a close, and wow, what a generation it was! This was easily one of the most ambitious generations for the series in multiple ways. The main series made the jump to open world design, the new terrestrialization mechanic is easily one of the most creative yet, and the Pokemon. Oh man, the Pokemon! To say this generation gave us a phenomenal lineup of new faces would honestly be a huge understatement. The Paldea region and the DLC areas gave us so many Pokemon that are just super memorable in one way or another. This right here was easily the hardest generation to narrow down to just 10 favorites, and I was honestly considering extending it to 15, but unfortunately I didn't have the time to do that. So without further ado, let's see what this 9th go-around has to offer us. Let's roll! There are a lot of reasons I could love a certain Pokemon. It could be through its design, lore, inspiration, or what it does on the battlefield. But every so often, there's that one Pokemon that I love for the simplest reason. It makes me smile. And yeah, Clodsire definitely fits the bill. Just look at this little guy. He is the definition of friend-shaped, and how could you not love it? When I first saw Paldea and Wooper, it immediately caught my eye. Galarian and Zigzagoon gave us Obstagoon, so maybe Paldea and Quagsire will evolve into something just as cool. It may not go in the 3rd form, but I am perfectly content with this lovable blob. But is Clodsire just a cute face? Surprisingly, no! It has quite the excellent set of tools to its name. For one thing, its typing is surprisingly really good in many situations, letting it come in frequently. From there, it can set up hazards of multiple types, inflict status, or do some decent damage with Stab Earthquake. Its abilities help a lot in this regard. Water Absorb gives it a handy water immunity that also heals it, while Unaware lets it completely ignore enemy stat boosts. Clodsire can be an incredibly effective wall, or a nice friend you can just hug. That sounds like a great way to start this list. One thing I always look forward to the most in new generations is potential evolutions for older Pokemon. Sometimes a Pokemon isn't all that interesting or useful on their own, and they need that little extra boost to really help them out. Because let's be honest, who's really a fan of Girafarig? Aside from the fun name, it's quite forgettable. But we changed the letters in the name a bit, and suddenly we have gold! Farigiraf is the kind of evolution that breathes new life into what came before. They took the idea of a giraffe having 2 minds and ran wild with it. Suddenly, it literally has 2 heads, which are indeed better than 1. And it knows how to use those 2 minds to the fullest. Sure, it's slower than Girafarig, but that was never a huge deal, especially with its new attributes. For one thing, it can actually hit hard and finally take advantage of that colorful move pool expected of a normal type. And that low speed can easily become its greatest weapon with Trick Room thrown in the mix. As a matter of fact, in Double Battle specifically, this is one of the most reliable Trick Room setters you could ask for. With its Armor Tail ability, all priority attacks used by your opponent are useless, which includes Prankster Taunt. This means typical means of stopping Trick Room or playing around it straight up won't work. I really hope more forgotten Pokemon get evolutions like this. We got Weirder, Surfetch, and Ursaluna. Just imagine a new evolution for Furret. Everyone will love it and buy the next game. Guaranteed! Similar to the previous gen, the first DLC for Gen 9 was fairly story dominant. While in the land of Kitakami, we got to learn about the legends of the Ogre and the Loyal 3. Only for those legends to be absolute lies. The Loyal 3 were wicked, not loyal at all, and absolutely none of them did anything for me. On the flip side, the Ogre that everyone feared, now there's a Pokemon I want to talk about. Right when I first saw this little girl, I knew Ogerpon would be a precious bean. And yeah, that's pretty accurate. But not only is she so adorable, but her mask adds a certain degree of character that I've never seen in a Pokemon. There's the fierce expression of the Teal mask, the gruff Hearthflame mask, the sorrowful Wellspring mask, and whatever's going on with the Cornerstone mask. Never could quite figure that part out. What's also really cool is how these very same masks factor into how she plays. She's always a grass type, but depending on her mask, she can also be a fire, water, or rock type. This also affects her signature move, Ivy Cudgel, where it will change types depending on the mask. And it even affects terrestrialization. When Terran, Ogerpon will become whatever type it corresponds to its mask, and will also trade its current ability for Embody Aspect for a free stat buff. All this together makes Ogerpon one of the most fascinating Pokemon the series has seen yet, but behind that mask, she's still Ogerpon. When the DLC previews first dropped, I was really excited. The areas they showed off looked like a ton of fun to explore, and I was stoked to learn what would go down. But also, there was the new Pokemon revealed. Diplin was a really cute new evolution for Applin, and its evolution Hydrapple is legitimately fantastic. Though no, it's not the dragon I'm going to talk about here. And bridging into my next segment is the Bridge Dragon. Duraludon was always a neat Pokemon to me, but something about it definitely felt missing, for lack of a better term. And in comes the Indigo Disc, giving me exactly what I wanted with a new evolution for Duraludon in Archaludon. It took such a great direction with its design. Duraludon could easily look like a lighter, but it can also represent a building, which was taken advantage of in its G-Max form. Archaludon, meanwhile, has a base form resembling a staple remover, but it's meant to represent a bridge. When it uses its attacks, you can see that in full effect. Speaking of attacking, this thing is an utter menace. Steel Dragon is easily one of the best typings a Pokemon can have, and with great bulk and stamina as an ability, it takes full advantage of that typing. But it's far from a passive wall, packing an excellent special attack stat and the capacity to turn its defense into offense with Body Press. And the icing on the cake is its signature move, Electro Shot. On its own, it's just a 2-turn move with a special attack boost thrown in as a bonus. But in Rain, it fires off in 1 turn. This means that out of absolutely nowhere, Archaludon can just blast you with a super strong attack before either doing it again to become even stronger or firing off a powerful stab move that is now boosted. In singles, it got itself banned for shenanigans like that, and in doubles right now, it's basically the one thing making Rain teams viable. They say to build bridges instead of walls, and Archaludon definitely got that memo. Back in Gen 7, we saw the Ultra Beasts. These Pokemon that were from another dimension and were truly out there in all the right ways. And now in Gen 9, we have the Paradox Pokemon. These are Pokemon that are either from the distant past or the distant future, and show either ancient forms or robotic forms of existing Pokemon. It's honestly a pretty ingenious idea, and it ties in beautifully with the themes of Scarlet and Violet. And man, there are so many excellent ones I'd love to talk about. However, one stands tall among the rest. A good look at Raging Bull gives you a basic idea of what it's all about. As an ancient form of Raikou, it constantly crackles with electric power. Even though it looks a bit goofy, I still really like it. The way its long neck and purple mane makes it look like a tall mountain with swirling thunderclouds is really cool. And on the battlefield, it absolutely brings the storm. While its speed leaves something to be desired, that electric dragon typing is something to be feared. It can hit super hard with those stab options, especially with photosynthesis boosting its already fantastic special attack. But this big boss has a super powerful ace up its sleeve, its signature attack, Thunderclap. This move only has 70 base power, but will always strike first. However, it'll only work if an opponent is using an attacking move. While a bit risky, if played well, it can absolutely pin an opponent down with no way out. The way I use this thing on my doubles team in particular accomplishes just that. After weathering powerful attacks from the team, it's only a matter of time before my opponent plays right into Thunderclap for game. This is definitely one storm you can't weather, so you better seek shelter. It takes a lot for a legendary Pokemon to truly stand out from the rest. With how many we've gotten over the generations, it feels like they're all vying for supremacy. But then there's Terapagos. I will defend this little guy with my life. Just the first reveal, I knew Terapagos would be something special. When not in battle, it is one of the absolute cutest Pokemon that I've ever seen. I just want to hold it and pet it and... Back on topic. When it's time to fight, it assumes its Terastal form. This right here brilliantly showcases its connection to Terastallization, as all the type icons are visible on its shell. And it also plays into its ability. While at full health, its Terra Shell ability makes any damage it takes not very effective. So yeah, it has a better multi-scale, which is so cool! But when push comes to shove and it goes Stellar Terra, whoo boy! Suddenly its stats spike to rival some of the strongest Pokemon in existence, and its Terraform Zero ability makes it so weather and terrain basically never happened! And that's before you remember that Stellar Terra gives it a massive power boost to its attacks, especially to other Pokemon that are also Terra! And when you use its signature move Terra Starstorm in this state, not much will be left standing. Truly one of the most standout legendaries we've ever seen. A friend, a fighter, and a force. I was super stoked when the first reveals for Generation 9 were going around. The starters looked great, the region itself looked to be so full of life, and the characters looked really interesting. Later on though, we'd see one of the absolute coolest Pokemon designs ever, full stop. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Why do ghost types always get the coolest designs? The designer who came up with this magnificent design should have gotten a huge raise and a vacation to wherever they wanted because they absolutely knocked it out of the park. The cool black armored body in combination with the spectral purple blades, it's just so amazing. Move over, Chandelure, this fiery spirit is the new top dog. And those swords aren't just for show, oh no. Ceruledge's attack stat is fantastic, and Ghost Fire is one of the absolute best offensive stab combos. Sure, it's basically worthless defensively, but that's hardly an issue. Its signature move, Bitter Blade, is not only really strong, but also heals Ceruledge for half the damage it did, making it way harder to take out than it might seem. And on top of that, it even gets Flash Fire for its ability, cause you know, let's make this thing hit even harder! I love this Pokemon so much and enjoy watching it do its thing. Now you better hope that your Pokemon isn't on the receiving end. Something I always adore in an evolutionary line is when they have an overarching theme to them. Take the Timber line for example. They have the theme of construction workers, with the material they work with becoming stronger as they evolve. Conversely, another Gen 5 line also has a theme to it. Pawniard evolves into Bisharp, and the chest theme is pretty evident, but at the same time, you could argue that something is missing. Fortunately, Generation 9 fixed that. Bow down before his kingly majesty. It took over a decade for Bisharp to get the evolution it always deserved, and now that it's here, I am so happy. Continuing that overarching theme I mentioned, Kingambit is obviously based off the king piece in chess. Except, while that king must always be defended, this king isn't afraid to get his hands bloody. This thing takes Bisharp's already excellent offensive prowess and amps it all way up! Its Sucker Punch and Iron Head are as strong as they always are, and it even has a stronger Dark Stab with its signature move, Kotao Cleave. And that's just its base power, as the abilities crank it up way past 11. Much like Bisharp, it has Defiant, and in doubles, that's always a force. But then there's its true coup, Supreme Overlord. For every one of Kingambit's allies that have fainted, it gets a nice 10% boost to its power. So when the chips are down and it's your last Pokemon, it's hardly unrealistic for Kingambit to just win. With a Swords Dance thrown in the mix, not much can withstand it at that point. When the time comes and it's Kingambit's turn on the battlefield, you know it's time to call checkmate. You probably noticed that so far I haven't mentioned any of the starters yet, and that's not because I dislike them. Oh no, far from it. I adored this set of starters a ton, and when they were first revealed, I just wanted to hold the kitty. Meowscarada actually broke a pretty long-standing tradition I've had. You see, in every other generation before this, I always went with the water starter. Blue is my favorite color, and water is one of my favorite types. Sure, I'll like the other starters, but it's always been the water starter I began my journey with in any region. Then along came Paldea. Sure, Quaxly was cool, and I adore that Pompadour, but Sprigatito spoke to me on another level. Just look at this little guy, how could you not love it? And I remember when everyone online was saying it absolutely needed to stay on all fours. I couldn't care less as long as it looked nice. And Meowscarada definitely looks nice. With the appearance of a magician that can almost pass off as a thief, I'll just say that if Joker had a Pokemon, it would definitely be this one. And it's not just a pretty face, because this is one of the best starters we've seen. Just like Greninja, it was blessed with the Protean ability, and even with the nerf it got, it's still great. Especially since Meowscarada has a fantastic signature move in Flower Trick. Sure, its power is merely average, but it can't miss, and it always scores a crit. This on top of Meowscarada's diverse move pool makes it one of the best Choice Banders or Choice Scarfers you could ask for. It was honestly pretty close to taking my top spot, but my number one choice is just special in a whole different way. Throughout my entire time playing Pokemon Violet, one Pokemon has always resonated with me. It's a Pokemon that was there for me my entire journey and helped me out the whole way through. It's more than just a Pokemon. He's my friend. My number one pick is Miraidon. When I was thinking about my favorite Pokemon of this generation, this sandwich-loving futuristic dragon was always the first one that popped into my head. Sure, it's an absolute force in battle that borders on obscene at times. The fact that someone's electric terrain that not only boosts its electric attacks but also its highest stat is just plain ridiculous. At this point, I feel like Game Freak is constantly trying to one-up themselves with how crazy they can make their box legendaries. But all that isn't any part of why Miraidon is my favorite. It's because this guy is always there to help me. He gets me wherever I need to go in the region, whether it be land, sea, or sky. He's always there to put a smile on my face with his goofy and curious disposition. And when the chips are down, he's there to help me overcome a challenge that seems completely impossible. Miraidon is a trusted companion, a phenomenal battler, and the best friend a trainer of Paldea could ask for. That right there is why he's my favorite Gen 9 Pokemon. I'm Arrow Dragon, and it's time to rev it up. And that's it for this video, and I hope everyone watching enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the whole process with this one, and I hope it shows. I have some big news I have to share, so be on the lookout for an update video that's coming out soon. Well, until next time, this is Arrow Dragon, signing off.